You're at a crowded gathering, the kind where laughter and chatter fill the air like a warm hum, and you catch her eye across the room, a woman whose presence commands attention, her smile a mix of mystery and allure. You feel the pull, the urge to approach, to impress her with your charm, your wit, your accomplishments, hoping she'll see you as the man you've always wanted to be. But as you take a step forward, something stops you. A flicker of doubt. A memory of past rejections, of moments where you gave everything only to be met with indifference. You've tried the usual tactics, being the nice guy, the provider, the one who's always there. But somehow, it's never enough. She looks away, her attention drifting to another man. One who hasn't said much, who doesn't seem to try, yet she's drawn to him, her gaze lingering, her smile softening. What does he have that you don't? Why does she seem so captivated by him, while you're left feeling invisible, chasing a connection that slips through your fingers like sand? This is the paradox that gnaws at you. You've been told that attraction is about being the best version of yourself, open, generous, attentive, always striving to prove your worth. Society celebrates the man who gives, who pursues, who wears his heart on his sleeve. But what if that's the very thing that pushes her away? What if the traits that make women obsessed with you aren't about how much you give, but how much you hold back? What if true attraction isn't about being the loudest, the most available, or the most eager, but about being the man who embodies a quiet, unshakable power, a man who makes her feel something deeper, something primal, something she can't quite name? You've felt it, haven't you? The frustration of pouring your heart out, of being the perfect guy, only to watch her drift towards someone who seems to do so little yet commands so much. The way you've chased approval, hoping to win her over with your efforts, only to feel more invisible with every step. The way you've tried to be everything she might want, reshaping yourself to fit her expectations, yet still coming up short. Why does this keep happening? Why does being the nice guy so often leave you on the outside, watching her obsession grow for someone else? Why does attraction feel like a game you can't win, no matter how hard you play? Machiavelli, the master of strategy and influence, understood this game centuries ago. He knew that attraction isn't about being the most open or the most giving. It's about embodying traits that awaken desire, traits that make you a mystery, a challenge, a man she can't help but want to unravel. In a world where women are bombarded with attention, where men compete to be seen, Machiavelli's rules offer a different path. A way to stand out not by doing more, but by being more. A man who commands obsession through power, not performance. But why are we so drawn to this trap of overtrying, of chasing her affection at the cost of our own strength? What drives us to play a game that leaves us empty? And what does it cost us in the end? Let's dive deeper into the hidden forces at play and uncover the truth behind why women aren't obsessed with you and how to change that. The hidden problem and its psychological, philosophical roots. You felt the ache of being overlooked, the frustration of giving everything to win her affection, only to watch her gaze drift to the man who seems to do so little, yet holds her attention effortlessly. You've been chasing, performing, reshaping yourself to fit what you think she wants, believing that's the path to making her obsessed with you. But the hidden problem isn't your effort. It's the belief that attraction comes from being the most open, the most giving, the most predictable. On this Saturday, May 24th, 2025, at 09:51 p.m. +7, Let's uncover why you've been conditioned to play this losing game, and what Machiavelli understood about the forces that keep you from commanding true obsession. Your psychology is wired for connection, but it's also your Achilles heel. Your brain craves acceptance. It's a survival instinct. When you seek her affection, your reward system lights up with dopamine, pushing you to chase that fleeting high of her approval. But this wiring comes with a trap. The fear of rejection activates your amygdala, driving you to overtry. The halo effect makes you assume that if you're kind, generous, and attentive, she'll see you as desirable. But this blinds you to her deeper instincts. Neuroscience shows that overtrying, those constant messages, those grand gestures, spikes cortisol, keeping you in a state of anxiety, eroding your confidence, and making you appear less attractive. Why does trying harder make you feel weaker? Because your brain is chasing a reward that's out of your control, leaving you vulnerable to her whims. Philosophically, this trap echoes Friedrich Nietzsche's critique of the slave morality. Nietzsche argued that society conditions men to seek approval through self-sacrifice, to be the good man who gives endlessly, but this sacrifices their power. You've been taught that a man's worth lies in how much he can provide, how much he can prove, how much he can bend to her desires. But Nietzsche would say this is weakness. A man who lives for others' approval is a slave to their gaze, not a master of his own destiny. Machiavelli saw this too, noting in The Prince that men judge more by the eye than by the hand. They're drawn to appearances, not effort. When you overtry, you appear desperate, not desirable, and that appearance shapes her obsession, or lack thereof, more than your true worth. Society doubles down on this conditioning. In a world saturated with attention, think of the endless dating apps, the flood of social media validation, the cultural obsession with being enough. You're taught that attraction is a competition, that you must outgive, outcharm, outperform every other man to win her. Aldous Huxley warned in Brave New World of a society that keeps you chasing external validation to avoid facing your own depth. You see it in dating culture. The man who texts first, who plans extravagant dates, who never says no, thinking it'll make her obsessed. But this isn't obsession. It's convenience. A transaction where you trade your power for temporary attention, leaving you open to indifference, rejection, or worse, being replaced by the man who doesn't try so hard. Carl Jung would add a deeper layer. Your need to overtry stems from a disconnection from your shadow, the part of you that knows your worth isn't tied to her approval, the part that craves mystery over exposure. When you ignore this shadow, you seek validation outside yourself, filling the void with effort instead of presence. But what happens when you keep chasing, keep overtrying, keep playing by these rules? What happens when you ignore the traits Machiavelli knew could make her truly obsessed? The consequences are more profound than you might think, and they're already shaping your life in ways you can't ignore. Let's uncover those costs and see why you can't afford to stay in this trap any longer. The unseen consequences. You've been caught in the trap of overtrying, chasing her affection with endless effort, reshaping yourself to fit what you think she wants, believing that's the way to make her obsessed with you. You've seen how your psychology, societal conditioning, and philosophical illusions have driven you to play this losing game, prioritizing her approval over your own power. But the unseen consequences of this approach are silently eroding your life, your relationships, and your very sense of self, leaving you further from the obsession you crave. Let's uncover the hidden costs of this mistake, the toll it's taking on your reality, and why you can't afford to keep playing by these rules. First, consider your relationships. When you overtry, constantly texting first, planning extravagant dates, bending over backward to prove your worth, you think you're building a connection, but you're not. You're creating a dynamic where you're the pursuer, the one who needs, the one who gives too much. This doesn't spark obsession, it breeds indifference. She might enjoy the attention at first, but over time, your eagerness signals a lack of value, making her pull away. You've felt it, haven't you? The way she grows distant the more you try, the way you're left chasing harder, only to be met with rejection or replacement. Social psychology calls this the scarcity principle. When you're too available, you're less desirable. Over time, this pattern erodes your ability to form meaningful connections, leaving you stuck in a cycle of unreciprocated effort, feeling more invisible with every attempt. The damage goes deeper. It strikes at your core identity. Every time you overtry, every time you chase her approval, you chip away at your self-worth. You start to doubt your value, your attractiveness, your ability to be enough without performing. Cognitive biases like the self-blame bias make you internalize her indifference. You think you're not good enough, that you need to try harder, be more, give more. But this only deepens the wound. Neurologically, this constant chasing keeps your brain in a state of stress, flooding your system with cortisol, impairing your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for confidence and clarity. You become anxious, insecure, unable to hold your own in her presence. Why does her disinterest hurt so much after you've given everything? Because it's not just rejection. It's a betrayal of the self you thought you needed to be, a self you've sacrificed in the pursuit of her obsession. On a broader scale, this pattern shapes the world around you. When you overtry, you become predictable, easy to overlook in a society where women are bombarded with attention. You're competing with countless others, all vying for her gaze. And your eagerness makes you just another option, not the prize. In dating culture, this perpetuates a cycle of disposability. Men who give too much are taken for granted, while those who hold back, who embody rarity, command desire. The bystander effect in attraction dynamics plays a role here. When everyone chases, no one stands out, allowing women to prioritize the men who seem unattainable. Your overtrying doesn't just hurt you. It fuels a world where true obsession is reserved for those who know how to play the game differently. The stakes are higher than you realize. Every moment you spend chasing her affection, overtrying to prove your worth, is a moment you're not becoming the man who naturally commands her obsession. You feel it, don't you? The quiet ache of being unseen, the fear that you're meant to be more but can't break free from this cycle of effort and rejection. If you keep going like this, what will you lose next? Your confidence, your relationships, your very sense of self. There's a way out, a rebellion against this trap, a path to embody the traits that make her truly obsessed. Let's take that step and discover how to become the man she can't stop thinking about. You've seen the devastating toll of overtrying, how it's left you unseen, diminished your self-worth, and trapped you in a cycle of rejection, all while pushing her further away instead of sparking the obsession you crave. You've been playing a game that strips you of power, conditioned to believe that giving more, chasing harder, and being the nice guy will win her over. But here's the rebellion Machiavelli's wisdom urges you to embrace. Stop chasing her affection and start commanding her desire. The traits that make women obsessed aren't about how much you give. They're about the power you embody through mystery, self-assurance, and strategic restraint. This radical shift will empower you to break free from the trap of overtrying, to become a man who naturally captivates her, leaving her unable to look away. First, cultivate an aura of mystery. You've been conditioned to be an open book, always available, always eager, always revealing your every thought and feeling to win her over. But Machiavelli knew that men judge more by the eye than by the hand, and predictability kills desire. Mystery makes her curious, keeps her guessing, and awakens her primal instinct to chase what she can't fully understand. The next time you're with her, don't rush to fill the silence with explanations or confessions. Hold back. Let her wonder what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you'll do next. In a social setting, don't be the one who overshares. Observe more than you speak, and when you do speak, make it deliberate, intriguing, leaving her wanting more. Psychologically, this taps into the uncertainty principle. Her brain releases dopamine when she's intrigued, making her think about you long after you're gone. Practice this today. Say less than you feel, and watch how her curiosity grows. Next, embody unshakable self-assurance. You've been chasing her approval, hoping she'll see your worth. But this signals you don't already know it yourself. Machiavelli understood that true power comes from within, from a man who doesn't need validation to stand tall. Stop seeking her gaze, her smile, her words to feel valuable. Know your worth before you walk into the room. Stand with your shoulders back, speak with calm conviction, and let your actions show you're a man who doesn't bend to her tests. In a relationship, if she pulls back, don't chase. Mirror her distance, showing you're not rattled by her withdrawal. In life, don't let rejection shake you. Carry yourself like a man who's enough, with or without her. Historically, men like James Dean captivated women not by trying hard, but by exuding a quiet confidence that made them magnetic. You can do the same, turning every interaction into a display of self-assured power. Finally, practice strategic restraint. You've been giving too much, your time, your attention, your energy, thinking it'll make her obsessed. But Machiavelli knew that a prince must avoid being despised, and nothing makes you less desirable than being too available. Pull back your effort. Don't always be the first to text, to plan, to give. Let her feel the space, the absence of your attention, and watch how it shifts the dynamic. In a social setting, don't be the one who stays too long. Leave at the height of the moment, letting her crave more of you. Neurologically, this creates a reward anticipation effect. Her brain will associate you with the thrill of pursuit, not the comfort of predictability. You're not withdrawing to play games. You're withdrawing to reclaim your power, to become a man she can't help but chase. This rebellion defies everything you've been taught. Society will push you to give more, to chase harder, to be the perfect man. But every time you choose mystery over openness, self-assurance over doubt, restraint over eagerness, you grow stronger. You start to feel it. Her gaze lingers, her curiosity deepens, and your presence becomes magnetic. Machiavelli's rules aren't about manipulation. They're about embodying the traits that naturally command obsession, making you a man she can't resist. As we move to the final truth, you'll see how this rebellion isn't just a way to break free. It's a way to redefine attraction, to become the man she's truly obsessed with. Are you ready to step fully into that power? You've broken free from the trap of overtrying, embracing mystery, self-assurance, and strategic restraint to command her desire, shifting the dynamic so she's the one chasing you, her curiosity ignited by the man you've become. You've stopped chasing her affection and started embodying the traits that naturally spark obsession, reclaiming your power through a presence that captivates without effort. But here's the ultimate truth. Machiavelli's wisdom reveals. True obsession isn't about her at all. It's about you. The man who makes women obsessed isn't the one who wins her heart, but the one who masters his own, becoming so whole, so unshakable, that his very existence becomes magnetic, drawing her in without a single word. This revelation redefines everything, turning your pursuit into power, your presence into allure, and your life into a testament to the man you were always meant to be. Machiavelli understood that power stems from self-mastery, not external conquest. In The Prince, he wrote, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand. But the deeper truth is that your real allure comes from knowing who you are, from embodying a depth that others can't help but feel." You've been chasing her obsession, trying to be what she wants, but the ultimate truth flips this on its head. The man who commands desire doesn't need her to want him. He wants himself. Mystery, self-assurance, restraint. These traits aren't just tools to attract her. They're reflections of a man who's already complete, who doesn't need her gaze to feel worthy, because he's found that worth within. When you master your own heart, when you stand firm in your own value, you become the kind of man she can't resist. Not because you tried, but because you didn't have to. Philosophically, this truth aligns with Marcus Aurelius's Stoic wisdom. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The pain of her indifference, the frustration of being overlooked, the anxiety of not being enough, it all stems from tying your worth to her response. But when you master yourself, when you know your value isn't dependent on her obsession, you become unshakable. Carl Jung would add that this mastery comes from integrating your shadow, the part of you that fears rejection, the part that craves approval. By embracing that shadow, by becoming whole, you radiate a presence that's magnetic, a depth that draws her in without you needing to chase. You don't need to perform for her obsession. You embody it. Psychologically, this revelation is transformative. Chasing her affection keeps you in a cycle of stress, flooding your brain with cortisol, eroding your self-esteem with every rejection. But when you master your own heart, you break that cycle. You lower stress, allowing your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for clarity and confidence, to take over. You feel calmer, more grounded, more in control. Studies show that men who cultivate self-worth report higher emotional resilience and more fulfilling relationships, because they're no longer at the mercy of her whims. They're at the helm of their own. You might find yourself drawn to deeper connections, not because you need them, but because you choose them, and that choice makes all the difference. This changes how you live. You walk through the world differently now, with a quiet certainty, a presence that pulls her in without you needing to try. You're not the man you were, the one who chased, who overgave, who lived for her approval. You're a man who knows himself, who commands obsession through his depth, his mystery, his unshakable core. Think of someone like Humphrey Bogart, whose quiet intensity made women fall without him ever begging for their attention. You can do the same, turning every interaction into a reflection of your power, every glance into a moment of her obsession. Picture this. You're back at that gathering, but now she's the one crossing the room, her eyes locked on you, drawn to the man who doesn't chase, who doesn't need her to shine, because you already do. This is Machiavelli's ultimate truth. True attraction comes from within, and when you embody it, her obsession follows, not because you sought it, but because you became it. Step into that truth, live it, and let it redefine everything.